Well, hello there, Uber Tuber Ubers, one and all, great and small, fast and slow, and everything else. Come on in, have a sit down, pull up a cigar, I guess, if you want. I got some cigarettes around here somewhere, but I don't know what I did with them. Anyway, I was just sitting here eating some pizza. I got a store bought pizza and some Modelo Negra. No, sorry, 805. Wrong. I was over at the grocery and I was looking, trying to ping pong between the two, and finally I decided one, but forgot which one. Anyway, just want to do a short talk of the trailer here. Hey, Ralph, are you out there? Ralph the guy. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about plumbing stuff. And if you're not interested in this stuff, well, then move on, okay? Not everybody's interested in plumbing, let's face it. But at any rate, I just want to kind of talk about what I do for a living sometimes. And, I might do a video tomorrow. I don't know. I'd have to crawl under the house and, get some camera angles and crawl around. And, Anyway, it wasn't a big deal in terms of the plumbing today. All we did was repiped a lav and a toilet. But by golly, trying to get that iron out of there, that old cast iron, ew. Man, I was laying on my side down there, and of course we're in a crawl space where, uh, is there enough room to get in there? If you dig, there is. So I'm using this little tiny shooter shovel, about yay wide, and I'm flipping dirt like that, trying to get in there so I could get far enough to work on the part we need to do. Turns out this is a real weirdo I saw early on, and probably more information than you needed. But Ralph, you got to think about these kind of things sometimes when you're getting into remodel stuff. You got to have a kind of a flexible approach here a little bit, because sometimes how are you going to get there? How did the original plumber get there? And you can tell anyone can tell, I think, by looking around underneath this trailer for 8 minutes. I'm probably like plumber number 6. I mean, this house has got to be at least 60 years old, maybe older. So it's been like remodel central down there, fixing old problem. And by now, I think almost all of the iron is out, but not all of it. And so we're going to tag right back into iron again down there. But boy, some of that stuff was just so nasty. I couldn't believe it. It was like, if you can imagine the sidewall of a piece of pipe just kind of folding, collapsing, and melting. It was a big chunk of it just fell out. And then where the elbow sweeps at the bottom, 4-inch elbow, there was a hole the size of my fist in the bottom of that elbow. So every time these guys have been running water in the lavatory, guess what? Where it goes? Where I was crawling around. So you can see all these little runnels down there where the water's been traveling down there for a while. Fortunately, the dirt's pretty easy to dig. It's not a lot of that real nasty stuff. So anyway, just wanted to kind of talk with you, Ralph. When you get into a weirdo job like this, where first of all you're crawling underneath a house, an established house, so can you fit in there? Can you get lights? Can you reach the work? You got to consider all of that, and you may have to just spend the first hour or two just moving dirt so that you can get to where you need to be to do the work. And because you can't enter from the top, you can't enter from the side, you're only underneath the house. That's your only access point. So sometimes, life feels like maybe you're kind of trapped and buggy. I didn't feel trapped. I don't get claustrophobic down there, but this darn shoulder over here was yelling at me, and I was kind of laying on that side, trying to work this way, in front of me, and where's that? Oh, I can't see where that. And so the temporary light under there is a little too good. If you happen to have it pointed the wrong way, it's written right at you. Well, you can't see anything. It's like driving into the sunset. Where's the road? And so we do that a lot around here. But so anyhow, when you're looking at projects like this where you have to kind of get inventive and stuff, we had to ping off that old toilet, and I don't know why that stinker was so stubborn. I ran into lead. This is how old this thing was. Inside on the drop, down below, lead about a ½ inch, and we're not talking about it, the seal around an SV joint there, and it was on the inside of the iron. And I thought, when was the last time I saw that, man? That's really old. They used to do what they called wiping joints. They wiped joints. Plumbers would heat up lead, hot lead, pour it into a rag, preferably several layers thick, and they'd wipe it on the outside of fittings and stuff. That's how they sealed up lavatories and stuff, instead of using the equivalent of like silicone. It's like, can you imagine smearing hot lead around, kind of going, gee, I hope we don't drop any of this because the wood floor is already in. Oh boy, that whole plumbing world has just been revolutionized. Cast iron was the thing once upon a time. It's good stuff, but most of the time, all I ever do is just really tear it out. Every once in a while we'll repair iron, but most of the time it ain't worth it. And so, and then of course people like to use stuff like those acid cleaners. What's it? Drano? Is that the liquid one? I can't remember. Some people recommend, use a little bit of this every week or every month or something like that. Keep your sewers clean. Yeah, okay. Well, in the meantime, if it's an iron sewer, it's eating a little runnel right across the bottom of that sewer pipe. Guess where that pipe is going to crack? And when you try to follow the crack back to find a good spot you could go onto, you ain't going to find it because that acid etched it right on through there. And if you look on the inside of the pipe, you can see, look at that little valley going right down there. And guess where the crack is? Right below it. So I don't recommend any kind of chemicals, especially if you really don't know what you're doing with it. Now, there are some chemicals that can be used, and plumbers use them sometimes for, major knockout issues where you need a chemical blast. And some of that stuff's really dangerous. It'll blow back up in your face. You don't want to deal with that if you do it wrong. So, and the Drano stuff, by the time you get to it, it's so weak, all it really does is ruin your pipes. And for a profit. But the point is that when you get into jobs, Ralph, you got to kind of think about it. Well, first of all, number one, the iron's coming out. Two, can I get it out? Can we even get in there and work? So a lot of the cuts I was doing today, I was laying on my belly, kind of rolled over sideways with a mini grinder, spun up this way, and it's throwing so many sparks and debris and who knows what off that thing because I don't have a guard. And so I just have to I got my ball cap on, and I'm just shielding myself because it's just showering you with, it's like you don't want that crap in your face, especially in your eye. So you're doing it blind and hope it doesn't go wrong. So we made it all happen in terms of getting it back together today on the lav and the toilet, but that's all we did. So I still got to drag it down about 6 or 8 feet, tag it back into the invert. There's 2 other drains that are all messed up that are just, how many plumbers have been down here anyway dealing with this? So we're going to make it right so that when you walk out, you don't have to guess, was this done correctly? And it'll be probably, I'm guessing 4 hours or more to tie in that invert because it's kind of complicated. I got 3 or 4 legs coming into one concentrated point, and I'm working like this on my side to make it happen. So it's kind of like sometimes, life kind of throws you one of these little riddles here. And sometimes it's a fracas at work, and, it's just like, how come everything has to fight with me? How come nothing goes together easily? And I just wanted to, kind of drop some old guy wisdom on you a little bit here. At 65, the way I see it now, sometimes when you talk to young people, the way they sound is they sound like, well, I'm looking for one of those high-paying, easy jobs where you don't get your hands dirty. Oh, you mean like an engineer? Well, you're going to have to go to school then, Bubba. And or whatever. But the thing is that nobody wants to crawl under a house, especially 65-year-olds. I'm probably the only goon in the county who'd be stupid enough to try it. All the other 65-year-olds are sending the young guys in. But the young guy I got, he doesn't know anything. He couldn't have handled what I was doing down there in under 10 hours, and I did it in about 3. And I just get so frustrated with the guy because it's like, dude, but he doesn't know. He's never done it before. So I've got this library of trivia and plumbing junk in my head that I'm trying to offload some of it onto these younger guys, but the only way you can is to let them do the job, let them make the mistakes. But it was so crowded down there, we couldn't have 2 of us in there to make the mistakes. So I'm hoping to get him involved a little more tomorrow. He was trying to stay out of that hole, I think. As best as he could, because he doesn't like being underneath the building. I think he's one of them guys that gets claustrophobic. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he's okay with that. But the thing is that life throws you a curveball. Life throws you, this weird loop-de-loop. What the heck is that business all about? And so you got to take time. You got to sit back and think, now, how's this going to work? Or is it going to work? I mean, frankly, can I get the work done without major demolition? Because major demolition is always an option, in my opinion. Bring in the backhoe, tear it up. But that way I could work standing up. Wouldn't that be handy? But the situation here for our lives, I mean, it's a lot like plumbing. You got this hairball, you got this problem. It's just got to be cleared out. It's just got to be fixed. You got to get that old junk out. You can't modify it. You can't put a layer of caulk on it. You can't silly putty it back together. Not really. Your life has problems just like this. You have to deal with them decisively, and you have to whatever it takes. How far back you got to cut. Make the cut and make it happen from there, from a good spot, and true it all up so that the whole thing runs at grade and your sewer is running fine. And when you I hope maybe I can remember to just crawl under there and make a video tomorrow and kind of walk you through a little bit of what I'm talking about. It ain't gonna be much to look at, but and then today I found out just in our spare time, after you get done with that, would you mind? The old plumber, remodel number 6 or whoever that was, he stubbed copper lines up in for the lavatory, but they're out of the wall. Well, it's a wall hung lav, doesn't matter. Well, now they want to hide them back in the wall. Oh boy, thanks a lot, buddy. So that means I got to drag the turbo torch down there and try to solder sideways and hope. See, the problem is when you got a horizontal hot running that away and you shut the system down, will it ever stop dripping? Because trying to solder on a dripping fitting, I tell you, that's real fun. Now, there's a thing called a jet sweat, but the only thing that I could use it with would be a ball valve, because if I put a PEX adapter on there, I won't be able to get the jet sweat out. And I don't want to bury ball valves down there for no reason. That's stupid. So at any rate, we'll try to commence on that. Now, that may leak over actually into Wednesday, because this thing was going so slow, and then I was so sore when I got out of there and just frustrated and junk. And just thinking, man, that's just irritating. Oh, every inch of where you're trying to get, you got to move with that shovel, but there's nowhere to throw the dirt to. Make a place. And so sometimes you got to do steps, 2-step, 3-step, 4-step, just to make it happen. Just to make it happen. Get the dirt out. You may have to do it in 3 steps, just to get it out of the way. And so many people just don't want to do it because it's hard work. Nobody likes hard work, but I do. And so I've enjoyed hard work all these years. It's just that at this declining years, great age here, I'm suddenly realizing there are limits on what my body will do. I don't have the strength. I don't have the resiliency. I don't have the flexibility I used to. I'm getting old. But I want to keep working because it's like, I like it. But Ralph, when you get to looking at plumbing parts and plumbing systems and all that good stuff, never forget that there's always somebody there available for you to give you answers. If you really get stumped, if you get spun out and you can't really figure out how to do it, you can always call somebody. And usually your boss. That'd be good. But the idea is that you don't have to know everything going in. Don't even think you have to know everything going in. What you got to have going in is you got to have the attitude that I'm going to make it right, and I ain't going to take no for an answer. That's all there is to it. And once you make it right, and with grade and slope, and get your glues joints, and get your cuts square and all that good stuff. The nitpicking of actually how to mechanically stick the stuff together, that's the easy part. The hard part is trying to get there so you can put it together. That's a lot like life. You go into something and you think, well, this shouldn't be hard. And then like days later, it's like, what's going on? I mean, what am I involved with? Well, you didn't look at the problem close enough. You didn't realize how convoluted this thing was opening the box. And so if you can step back, get old, and look at the box and think, what happened last time I got into this? You can be a little better prepared and maybe even have the right parts. Who knows? If the parts guy sends you the right stuff. I got a guy named Steve. He always screws up orders. Today he screwed me up on a 4x3 bell. I said, I don't care anymore. Forget you. So I just took a 3-inch hub of a Santee, crammed it in a 4-inch piece of pipe, stuck it up, no hub done. So don't need your stinking bell reducer, Bubba. There's another way sometimes. And if it's legal, it's legal. This one wasn't legal, but it'll work. So you guys have a good day, and I hope you find a job where something is really demanded of you, and then you can find a way to step up to it, make it happen, and walk away feeling good that, hey, that's a 100-year job right there. No one's ever going to have to fix that again for the next 100 years. Make that your goal. It's worth thinking about. You have a good day.